A need can look impossible until Jesus steps into it. What if you already have everything God needs to perform a miracle through you? What if the smallest thing you are willing to surrender becomes the blessing thousands are waiting for? In Mark 6:30-44, we witness one of the most well-known and astonishing miracles in the ministry of Jesus, the feeding of the 5,000. But this story is not just about food. It is about compassion, faith, surrender, obedience, and how God multiplies what we place in His hands. When we look at this moment closely, from a different angle, we see how Jesus teaches His disciples that ministry is not about what we lack, but about who we have with us. The apostles return from their mission, tired but excited. They tell Jesus everything they have preached and done: healings, deliverance, changed lives. Jesus sees their exhaustion and invites them to rest. Come with me by yourselves to a quiet place and get some rest. Even ministry requires pausing. Rest is not weakness, it is part of God's design. They go by boat to a solitary area, hoping for peace and quiet, but rest will have to wait. A massive crowd sees where they're heading and runs on foot from all the nearby towns. By the time Jesus and the disciples reach the shore, thousands are already waiting. Their hunger for truth is urgent. Jesus steps out of the boat and sees them, not as a burden, but as sheep without a shepherd. He doesn't complain. He doesn't send them away. He teaches them. He loves them. He cares for them. Ministry is not interrupted by people. Ministry is people. As the day grows late, the disciples feel tension rising. They see the size of the crowd, 5,000 men, not counting women or children. Realistically, this could be 10 to 15,000 people. They see the hours slipping away. Their concern becomes a request. Send the people away so they can buy something to eat. From a human perspective, it makes sense. From a faith perspective, it misses the point. Jesus turns to them and says life-changing words: "You give them something to eat." This moment reveals the heart of Jesus' training. He does not only want them to watch miracles, He wants them to participate in God's provision. The disciples respond with practical logic. That would take more than half a year's wages. How could they afford that? Impossible. Jesus asks, "How many loaves do you have? Go and see." Instead of focusing on what they don't have, He calls attention to what they do have. They return with the answer, 5 loaves and 2 fish. In human terms, not enough for even a tiny portion per person. In Jesus' hands, more than enough. He tells the disciples to have the people sit down in organized groups on the green grass, groups of hundreds and fifties. God's provision flows best through God's order. Before the miracle happens, Jesus does something essential. He looks up to heaven. He blesses the food. He gives thanks. Thankfulness comes before multiplication. Jesus breaks the loaves, but notice this: He places the pieces into the hands of the disciples to distribute. The bread multiplies not in Jesus' hands, but in the hands of the disciples as they obey. This is a stunning truth. God performs miracles through our obedience. He seeks partners, not spectators. The crowd eats, every single person. None left hungry, none left out. And when it's over, Jesus tells them to collect the leftovers, not because He is worried, but because He does not waste what God provides. The disciples gather 12 baskets full, 1 basket for each disciple, to hold proof of what faith makes possible. Jesus did not simply feed the crowd, He fed His disciples' belief. He showed them what happens when they stop calculating and start trusting. Every detail of this story speaks to our lives today. First, Jesus sees your needs before you say them. The crowd followed out of desperation. Jesus responded with compassion. He is not annoyed by your need, He is moved by it. Second, God invites you into the miracle work of deliverance. The disciples wanted to send the crowd away. Jesus wanted to feed them through His disciples. God often chooses to meet needs by using us. Third, God multiplies what you give Him. 5 loaves and 2 fish in human hands equals not enough. 5 loaves and 2 fish in Jesus' hands equals more than enough. The size of your gift isn't what matters. The size of your surrender does. Fourth, thanksgiving transforms the ordinary into supernatural. Jesus blessed what looked inadequate. Gratitude unlocks multiplication. Fifth, God's provision always exceeds expectations. Not only did everyone eat, they were satisfied and leftovers remained. God doesn't barely cover, He overflows. Sixth, faith grows when we participate. The disciples carried the bread. They walked through the crowd. Every distribution strengthened their belief. Faith increases when we act on what Jesus commands before we see the outcome. Seventh, our limitations are the platform for God's greatness. God allows situations where we hit our limits so He can reveal His limitless power. Now let's flip the perspective. Imagine being the boy who brought the loaves and fish. To him, it was a simple meal, maybe lunch packed by his mother. In his hands, it was small. In Jesus' hands, it became a miracle like no other in the Gospels. The only miracle recorded in all 4 books. That boy is never named, because the focus is not his identity, but his willingness to give. You may feel small, unseen, inadequate, but God looks at you and sees a vessel for abundance. He doesn't ask, "Is this enough?" He asks, "Will you give it?" Maybe your 5 loaves and 2 fish look like a small amount of money, a simple prayer, a little time, a gentle word, a skill you think is insignificant, a heart willing to help. God doesn't need much to begin. He just needs what you have. When we hold tightly to what is ours, it remains small. When we place it in God's hands, it becomes supernatural provision. But there is another layer here. Jesus didn't only fill stomachs. He revealed the bread of life. The disciples would later understand that the true miracle was not the bread, but the one breaking it. That day pointed forward to the Last Supper, where Jesus again broke bread, but this time saying, "This is my body given for you." Physical food sustains temporarily. Jesus sustains eternally. This miracle invites us to trust Him not only for earthly provision, but for spiritual life. And let's reflect on the disciples. They had just come back from ministry. They were tired, empty, wanting rest. Yet Jesus asked them to give. Sometimes God asks us to pour out when we feel poured out. And in giving, we discover that He refills us. The 12 baskets of leftovers weren't random. 1 basket for each disciple, a personal reminder that when you serve others, Jesus feeds you too. Today, Jesus still asks, "How many loaves do you have?" And we answer with excuses, "It's not enough. I'm not enough." But faith replies, "It's yours." Your miracle might be waiting on 1 act of surrender. Your calling might begin when you say yes to what looks too small. Your impact might multiply when you stop calculating and start trusting. Maybe you're facing a need greater than your resources. Maybe God is asking you to give what feels tiny. Maybe you feel overwhelmed by the crowd in front of you, the expectations, pressures, or challenges. Jesus is whispering the same words. You give them something to eat. Don't look at the size of the need. Look at the greatness of the provider. Don't focus on what you lack. Focus on what you have and give it to Jesus. Because a miracle always starts with what is already in your hands. Thank you so much for watching this message. If it encouraged you to trust God more deeply, please like the video, share it with someone who needs hope, and make sure to follow and subscribe to Holy Path Insights for more Bible-based teachings that strengthen your faith. May God multiply every act of obedience you place in His hands. God bless you.